Beaker matches with the corresponding crucible. These crucibles would need to have the empty constant mass known. The filtering of the precipitate begins first by decanting the supernatant layer, using the stirring rod to pour the liquid over. Pay attention to the filtrate and make sure that the filtrate still remains clear. Cloudy filtrate is an indication of possible peptization, the coagulated solid reverting back to the colloidal solid. If that is noticed, make observations in your notebook about that occurrence. After the supernatant liquid layer has been completely decanted, you begin washing the precipitate using a wash solution that was prepared by mixing 3 to 5 milliliters of dilute nitric acid to a liter of water. You can pour that total mixture into a plastic storage bottle and then fill up your wash bottles as it's needed. To wash the precipitate, you're going to squirt wash solution down the walls of the beaker, not squirting directly on the surface of the solid. Physical forces such as that can also cause peptization. Once the precipitate is coated with wash solution, gently agitate the mixture and then filter those washings, decant those washings. You want to repeat that washing process at least 3 to 4 times. After 3 to 4 times, you will then test the filtrate to see if silver ion is still being removed. Using the wash solution removes away any impurities away from the silver chloride precipitate. We want to continue until all of the silver ion has been removed. After washing the precipitate 3 to 4 times, you want to discard the filtrate into the waste bottle that's marked AGCL and AG rinses. After the initial 3 to 4 washings of the precipitate have been discarded into the waste bottle and the filter flask rinsed out, you're going to repeat the washing process of the precipitate in the beaker 1 to 2 more times, and we'll test that filtrate. Now rinse the precipitate in the beaker 1 or 2 more tries. Test the filtrate for the appearance of silver ion by testing with a few drops of concentrated hydrochloric acid. To test the filtrate, you want to do so by placing the filtrate into a separate container. Filtrate can be poured into a 100 milliliter beaker. To that beaker's contents, you want to add a couple of drops of concentrated hydrochloric acid. If this mixture turns cloudy, you need to continue filtering or washing the precipitate until it no longer tests positive for silver ion. If it comes out clear, like this mixture is, then that means your precipitate is free from silver ion and you're now ready to complete the transfer from the beaker into the crucible. To do this, you will continue to use your wash solution, using the wash solution to direct the solids down the walls of the beaker and into the crucible. Still try to avoid making direct contact with the wash solution on the surface of the solids. want to be careful not to lose any solids out of the crucible. If that is noticed, take those observations down in your notebook. For stubborn solids that won't dislodge, you can use your stirring rod to direct those into the crucible. And just be sure to rinse the stirring rod, the solids that are on the stirring rod, back into your crucible. You want to continue this process until every trace of solid that's in the beaker is removed and in the crucible. After all of the precipitate solids are removed completely from the beaker and the stirring rod completely rinsed off, you will transfer this sample into your liter beaker. Keep that sample in the dark until all 4 samples have been filtered. At this point, you would move on to the next sample. After you've filtered the precipitates in all 4 beakers into all 4 crucibles, you're now ready to dry the crucibles with the precipitate in the ovens to constant mass. Place all 4 crucibles into your liter beaker. Use the glass hooks in the watch glass and dry the samples for an appropriate period of time. The silver chloride precipitate is light sensitive, so you do not want to dry the precipitates for more than 1 to 2 hours at a time. Cool the samples in the desiccator and then weigh them on the analytical balance until you've achieved constant mass.